Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Style Sessions. Obviously, normally Aaron Selberg would be doing this for you, but today it's me, Jeremy Reed. But today I do have a special guest, Rob Phillips. He is a vendor representative, and today mainly we're going to probably talk about SAXX. That's one of your main lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, as I said, we were kind of talking off air before we jump in there. Aaron and I always talk about this, and we always get excited. And we were actually talking about your outfit. And so let's talk about it a little bit, because this actually goes back to an episode we just did a couple weeks ago about layering and how fall is a great season for it. So let's walk through what you got as an outfit.
Well, I mean, I'm all about layering, and when it gets colder, that's what I look forward to this time of year,
It's the best time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, and the trends right now are like soft jackets and swackets, I guess, shirt jackets, and
I'm in one right now.
Yeah. So I like to layer up different things. I'm a multi-line rep, and today I'm representing a couple of things that I rep. But I like a quilted vest, whether it's a barber vest. This one happens to be from Rafi, one of the other lines that I carry. They're a knit-driven line. It has a sweater back.
Which adds a little layer of extra comfort.
For sure.
Because obviously, so you drove down to meet us today, so you're in the car, so it helps a little bit in the car.
Yeah, everything's about stretch. Everything, shoe stretch, everything stretches. SAXX stretches and has stretch. I mean, everything stretches.
Yeah. It definitely is. It's one of those things, and we've all just kind of. It's interesting you say that, because I feel like menswear has finally embraced this and really taken off the last 5-10 years or whatever, where I feel like women's wear kind of was ahead of that on us.
Oh, they're way ahead. They kept that secret so long. We were all wondering how they look so good in their clothes. And how we look so schlumpy in our clothes. Why are we baggy and they're like always looking good?
It was always tailored fit to them, and they could bend over and still pick something up without some weird exercise. You're like, how is this possible?
Knees bagging out, or but once men found out, it's like everything we've ever done, we go in. It takes us so long to get there, but once they're there, we're in on everything, and that seems to be what's happening. Right, Everybody is on the stretch wagon, and we're never getting off. No, I don't think we are now.
I couldn't foresee, and it's interesting. And I know you carry a few different lines if it's casual or clothing, and then clothing is a particular thing. That's been the most recent thing that I've noticed is sportswear and clothing and jackets and suits are all introducing this element of stretch. And as I said, I don't foresee us ever going back to a traditional cut jacket.
No,
I couldn't imagine it.
It took men a while to get away from pleated pants.
Yeah.
And then they get into flat front pants, and then they thought they were tight, but then stretch came around just after that.
Yeah.
And pleats are trying to make a comeback. I don't think they ever will they were before.
About that. Yeah,
but they're going to come back in some way. I mean, younger people are going to say, "Oh, I've never seen a pleated pants," so they're going to try that.
Aaron and I actually talk about that quite frequently. I think last week we talked about the pleats. And they're coming back in a different way, I would say. Obviously, you and I probably saw it, the first iteration of pleated pants.
Right.
This pleated pant is much smaller. It's a single pleat. It's not the double pleat that back in the day.
Yeah, triple pleats.
Yeah, triple pleats back in the day, right? But a single pleat, and almost, I mean, some of it is for the space in the room in the front, but it's really more of an aesthetic pleat.
It's a fashion point of view. Yeah, it's a difference of. I guess it's, in a way it's like a texture now. It's something else in the front that is different. And if your whole wardrobe is full of something, you want something different.
Right. You want to be able to say, oh, look at this. This is different, right?
I got something new. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is always interesting to see how the fashion world, I mean, I'm wearing as I said, a corduroy shacket today. Obviously we have our camera, but for the people that aren't listening, so I'm wearing my Johnson Murphy collection boots, some faux salvage denim, a new t-shirt from Shop Bros that I do a lot of stuff with those guys, but then this corduroy shacket, which cords. I mean, they're full force. If you're not in cords this year, you're going to be the one guy not in them.
Yeah,
really.
Pants,
jackets.
And it's not your grandfather's corduroy.
No, much softer.
I
mean, it's still got the big whales and stuff in it. I mean, it's nice big ones, but obviously another thing that we saw from the past coming back. So. One other question, then we're going to dive into our topic for the day. I'm just curious, because this is a thing we've been asking every one of our guests so far. you are always a fashionable guy. I've known you now for 5.5, 6 years. And since I've known you, you're always, you always have cool outfits or put together really well. When you're planning an outfit, is there an item you start with? And for example, Aaron and I both talk, like a lot of times, like there'll be one item that you're drawn to. If it's a pair of shoes, like, hey, I'm going to wear this shoe and then I build off of it. Is there anything like that for you? Is there something that you're always drawn to?
I guess it changes. In this outfit, and I know the camera can't tell, my pants have almost like a clothing check to it. It looks solid navy probably on camera, but I'm like, I'm going to wear those pants today.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, I've got this, they're navy, I've got this navy quilted vest. And then I've got, instead of a solid shirt, I've got this little pattern. So, and then I'm looking at sport coats. That's how this one, and then, then shoes. But then also sometimes I start with, I want to wear that jacket today.
Yeah.
And, if I actually don't have a huge wardrobe, my wife has a much bigger wardrobe than I do. But even with, my wardrobe of pieces that I think are, that start off my decision making. I often come up with a new way of wearing that and putting it with something new and, inspired by a new pair of shoes or a new pair. I just bought a new pair of boots and I was like, I wanted to wear those today, but they weren't quite right. So it didn't start with the shoes today. But mixing, I think we all get into a place where we're like, okay, that's how someone showed me to wear it in a store and I wear it like that every day versus looking at someone else's outfit and said, oh, I never thought of that. You mentioned the vest, like, oh, this vest, can be layered, but I could not have a jacket on it. It's still fine.
It still look really good.
It's still fine today. That's what I have fun with my wardrobe now. Now I've never worn this combination ever before.
Right. Which is an exciting thing. And I'm so excited you touched on that because there's two main things I want to take from that because that is a topic I always talk about. I plan outfits for guys that, if I sell you 2 outfits, in reality, in my brain, I sold you 3, 4, 5, 6 outfits because I've already put it together all these different ways.
Right.
Where I will continually see those guys out week after week wearing the exact same way I told them to wear it.
Right.
So I'm going to foreshadow a little bit for an upcoming episode, probably next week or the week after. We started a new line here at That Guy's Secret called Easy by That Guy's Secret.
Okay.
So it's double entendre. Like easy is a nickname of mine because I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but it's also easy to learn how to dress. So we picked colors and combinations that essentially, if it has an easy tag on it, so we're calling it our capsule collection. You can just interchange. Like if you have this shirt, it goes with those pants. It goes with these pants. It goes with so then you have all these outfits with not the thought. Like if you're not a guy that's used to doing what you or I have to do, like where we're like, oh, let's put this with that or something like that. We're going to try to simplify that coming forward. We have some items coming to the store. We already have a few in, but we have more coming this fall. And then, it's going to be something we try to carry through season to season. So that's something exciting coming down the pipeline, as you said, because a lot of guys don't have that knack.
It's not natural, I think, unless you've been in the business or own a store for a while. But as soon as you get used to a practice of most guys' wardrobes, for instance, you're probably going to shake your head, are Navy based.
Oh, 100%.
Like everybody has a lot of Navy in their wardrobe.
Yep.
That already sets you up for a multitude of outfits, right?
Oh my gosh.
Shades of blue.
Yep.
You can probably wear any shade of blue. It doesn't have to be the navy. Yeah. You can do light blue, mid blue, dark blue.
Yep.
And then you learn okay, well, blue and gray goes together. Blue and brown goes together. Blue and charcoal goes together.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that it does kind of start. As you said, almost every guy has navy in their closet. Like that's just a common color. I think we're predispositioned as boys to love the color blue. It's just natural. It's in our. It's how we're brought up. You know what I mean? It's just how we're brought up. As you love blue, it just happens. And as you said, blue is just. It's essentially a neutral color. You can wear it with almost any other color. You know, it really is. So.
Right.
But yeah, so anyway, so that's kind of our outfits for today, guys. That's kind of where we're at. Thanks for giving that insight. It's always nice to have that third point of view.
Sure.
So, but today, let's talk about SAXX.
Okay.
So, I've carried SAXX, since I've opened. It's been a brand of mine since I opened. Obviously, I've had great success. I wear it. I enjoy it. I met you, as I said, 5.5, 6 years ago now. You were with SAXX then. You have been for quite a while. So how long have you been with SAXX, and how did you come to find SAXX? How does this happen? Because people are always curious how the rep world works, I guess.
Right. Well, I've been an independent rep for over 30 years.
Okay.
I started in the retail. I was a buyer for a retail store before that, and it was a natural position, transition for me to be a rep. A lot of guys were leaving that and going into rep. But how I found SAXX was kind of an accident. Another rep friend of mine said, "Oh, I have this underwear line called SAXX, and it's doing kind of, it's kind of different. It's got this new technology, and we're selling it really well." And he was in California, and it was nobody knew what SAXX was.
Sure,
nobody knew. And SAXX started in 2006. Our founder started the brand in college.
Okay,
and worked on a fishing boat, and was really uncomfortable. He lived in Vancouver, Canada, where our company is based, and was in like one of those rubber, full
like
rubber
those
suits,
outside,
fishing on this boat, everything sticking together,
Ugh.
and thought this was terrible. But he was also in college on a baseball scholarship, right?
Okay.
So he's like, I wear this sports athletic cup, and
Sure.
I've got this. I'm carrying this mitt. If I could just take this baseball mitt and just transfer it and just separate everything like a cup does, but more comfortable, this would be good. And that's how SAXX was born in 2006, and started selling literally underwear out of his van.
Out of his van
in Canada, and got on a show called The Dragon's Den.
Is that kind of like the Shark Tank?
It's exactly,
right?
That's what Canada called the Shark Tank. And went on that show, and they turned him down. They said, I don't,
those guys.
I don't get it.
Right,
I don't get this, thing. So he ended up taking his next year's scholarship money and putting it all into SAXX, and started giving underwear away. Literally went to a Richard Branson, Virgin Airlines seminar, and attacked him and gave him a pair of underwear and said, I got this stuff, you should wear it and stuff. And eventually got some investors to invest in his company. Then they started selling some underwear into some stores. So my territory is 12 states in the Midwest. So I covered 12 different states, from the Dakotas to Kansas to,
So
Kentucky,
right
through the middle of the country. I talked to SAXX. They say, we don't have a rep. We can talk about it. And so we started talking about it. So when I finally got the line, out of 12 states, I had 5 stores buying SAXX underwear. That's it. 5. I'm like, well, this guy really sold this, this friend of mine really sold this line. It's only 5 accounts in it's not a big deal.
What are we talking about here?
And there's not that, and at that time, SAXX didn't have a huge line either. It was a pretty tight, collection of underwear, solids, a few patterns. That's it.
Basic stuff.
No athletic stuff, more everyday, stuff. Some cotton bamboo, and they even had a different logo, and it was really, really new. One of those stores, I knew. I called him. I got the selling list, and he was selling. So I had 5 stores. He was selling 500 pair a year.
Wow.
And I called him. I said, "What do you do? What's
how,
happening?
How are you selling 500 pairs when there's only 5 stores?
How's this possible?" He said, "Rob, all I do is I talk about the brand, and I give them a pair. I gave them a pair of underwear, and then these guys come back and they buy 10, and then their friends come back and buy 10." He said, and it doesn't take, and it's what we talk about. Guys are all in when they decide, in Stretch.
100%.
They're all in. So when they find something better, they've been wearing whatever, Calvin Klein, Jockey, whatever they were wearing at the time. Everybody I was selling SAXX to all had in their stores Jockey or Calvin Klein.
Right, and it was always an afterthought. It was the back shelf, the bottom shelf type
guy
of thing.
wants underwear. Here's a 3-pack of whitey tighties,
Sure.
and
Yep. We've all seen it. We've all been in stores like that.
Yeah. So so they weren't really paying attention to it, and this guy just liked the product. SAXX said, we're great about giving people underwear, because how are you going to know, right?
Yeah.
So he did that for some people, and then just the word started really going. So really quickly, he started selling a lot of underwear. And I would go into stores. They all had jockey. I don't need underwear.
Sure.
Same situation. I would give them a pair of underwear. And they said, well, Rob, I know you. Let's try a few. I said, no, just wear it. Then let's talk.
Yeah.
Then let's talk. And I might have started with you that same way, too. I might have given you a pair at a show or something.
It was actually, I think, Eric, I think he was the VP at the time.
Yeah.
Gave me a pair at one of the shows, and I came back the next day. It was
I think you. Yeah,
it was that
exactly.
instantaneous.
It was. Yeah. I mean, you were like, wow. And so when a customer, a consumer, a buyer, an owner has that experience, it's kind of rare to have something that instant. You like something that much right away, and the product has just grown in the 12 years I've had it, based on the experience people are having when they're wearing our product.
Yeah, and I would even go one step further. I mean, obviously, from a lot of customer feedback, and you and I have talked a lot over the years. It's when they're wearing it, but the point when the pavement hits the rubber, so to speak. It's the day after they're not wearing it. The first day they're not wearing it.
Right.
When they go back to the jockeys, that's the day they become a believer, because. You first put it on, and every guy does it. We all get it. I make fun of it, but they do the squat, the lunge, the stretch, all this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, these are real comfortable," and you like it. But it's the day after that is when you go, "Oh my gosh, like what am I missing?" This is what I'm missing.
And the technology, when you have it on, it's not you notice it when you have it on, but then you don't notice it until you don't have it on.
Until you don't have it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not like something that's, when you look at how the ballpark pouch works, you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. When you put it on, it just does its job.
It's non-thought. There's no thought.
There's no thought to it.
Which, speaking of, like, the ballpark pouch is obviously one of the main things, but including the ballpark pouch, what makes SAXX different than other pairs that were out there when they started, and even now, because now there are other pouch styles out there. So what's the benefits of the SAXX? Give me the rundown here.
Right. Well, there are a lot of copycats out there. Our technology is patented, so the way that we do a pouch, no one else can do it that way. Sure. So everyone is, that has a pouch knows how great of an idea it is.
They're just trying to figure out a way
to
try to
do it
somehow.
As a matter of fact, last 6 months ago, we just passed up Calvin Klein is the #1 boxer sold in North America.
That's a big thing.
That's
a big deal.
That's a big deal. That's a big brand.
Yeah, very well-known brand.
That everybody that you would talk to would know who Calvin Klein, the name is. But we're still finding people that don't know who SAXX is, even though we're selling more boxers. Now, they may sell, and probably do sell, more multi-pack, 2 and 3.
Because of their package
style. But as a single boxer, we sell more than anybody else. And that's more than, and by the way, that's more than we're the #1 boxer sold in North America. That beats everybody. Calvin Klein was #1.
Wow.
So
that's something I didn't even know. That's impressive.
Yeah, we're more than all of our, Hanes, Tommy John, all the brands that all the sub-brands, we are #1. So it's not just that we passed Calvin Klein. No, everyone's behind us.
Like, you're at the top of the mountain.
We're at the top of the mountain now.
Yeah, that's a good place to be.
That's a good place to be. And, it's something for us to be proud of, but it's also something great for you to tell people. Even if they know it or they don't know it, it's great for them to know. What makes us different is the construction of our underwear. If you can picture, a lot of underwear is made in a tube.
Okay.
So it's like either one leg is just a tube. Our product has panels. And so those panels give our underwear a 3D fit on the body. So if you're holding up our underwear, it doesn't just hang like, a tube sock does. It hangs differently because it's built to follow the seat and the legs in a 3D fit, and there are seams on the sides. Our seams are all flat out seams. We're the only one that puts our seams on the flattest part on the inside of the leg instead of the outside of the leg.
Anybody that's had that seam line after a pair of socks or pair of underwear, they understand the benefit of that. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, and we're the only ones who do that.
Which is surprising, because it seems like such a great idea that you're just surprised more people aren't trying to copy it.
They don't they try to copy the pouch, but they don't copy all the other things that make us
unique,
and more comfortable.
Yeah.
So the 3D fit, the ballpark pouch, the flat out seams, and then we do lots of fabrics. So we do different parts of our line go from sport athletic to everyday. And as you know, Jeremy, we're also now doing, we do T-shirts, undershirts, loungewear, active wear, active tees, polos, socks. I mean, the line has gone from
a guy starting on a fishing boat because he's uncomfortable
to
now it's a lifestyle.
They had white and black underwear in cotton bamboo. That was their first line, to this catalog that we don't even print it anymore. It's too thick. It's like this huge.
It's massive.
It's 170 pages of merchandise. So between fabric and also we're known for our patterns and our fun factor of things. We're not just a basic underwear. We do some pretty wild
it's
patterns.
not stuffy. It's not the boring, stuffy, like it's not your dad's underwear, so to speak.
We have solids.
Even though that, I'll tell you, I'm never surprised anymore on, there's no age demographic on SAXX Underwear. No. I mean, I have 13, 14-year-old kids up to 90-something-year-old grandpas.
Right.
I mean, it's
they all are wearing underwear.
And they love it.
Yeah.
And they love
and they all want to be more comfortable.
Everybody wants to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
So, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, and it just opens up a door I'm curious about. I know you said originally they had like a cotton bamboo mix, and there's some other fabrics. What are, let's just say their top, I mean, and we'll dive into their fits here in a minute, but what are their top fabrics? What's out there? What are they mostly made of right now? What are your top 3 fabrics, top 4 fabrics?
Right. Well, probably number 1 would be viscose.
Okay.
In our Ultra and Vibe models, which you carry, are both made in viscose. Viscose is a wicking, softer, non-cotton material that's made up of wood fibers, where they add a slurry of chemicals to make it like a slurry, but you kind of pull this apart and it becomes these thin threads, and those threads are the fabrics that make up viscose.
Okay.
So, but its base is wood.
It's wood, so I mean
it's wood, but they have to add some things to this wood pulp. I think it's aspen and poplar. It's a couple of different woods that are better for viscose, and we use and there are different levels of quality of viscose, like there's different levels of qualities of cotton. So viscose being probably our number 1 fabric, or softest fabric in Vibe and Ultra. Those 2 are in viscose. Ultra has a fly. Yep. And Vibe does not have a fly. They're the same fit model. They have the same leg distance.
Okay.
5 inches is a boxer brief.
Yep.
But because if it has anything has a fly in it, that fly material moves in the front. So Ultra is, kind of a classic fit, and Vibe, that when it doesn't move, it's just a little trimmer on the body.
Yeah.
And anything that has a fly in it is tends
to be a little
looser, depending on the fabric. So the viscose probably number 1, because we make a lot of things in Ultra, a lot of things in Vibe.
Yeah.
Probably second is Quest.
Okay.
Quest is a poly rayon fabric that's under our Adventure window. Adventure meaning it's a little more performance-based. If you look at a Quest fabric, it kind of looks like a mesh fabric. It literally, under a microscope, there are 2 different fabrics, and under a microscope, it looks like there's cups in it.
Yeah.
And that's unique to us. We developed this fabric. That moisture is then drawn to these little cup, which is a different fabric than the outside. So you almost under a microscope, you see, it almost looks like the dimples in a golf ball.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Yep.
So those little cups in the golf ball, the water is drawn to that area, so it dries faster.
Perfect.
Right. So that fabric, for me personally, that's all I wear.
Yeah, well, I'm in the same fit, same style. Yeah.
It has a fly in it. I don't use a fly. Some guys do. It's a whatever. It doesn't. That's one question your customers will need to.
Yeah.
They're going to need to know, like, I wear a fly or don't. Or if they don't wear a fly, they can look at everything. If they do, you have to
limit it. You kind of
They would be Ultra or Quest in this conversation for what we talked about, the two best fabrics.
Right.
So Quest is performance. It's been rated the #1 travel underwear on the planet. There are a bunch of people that do travel underwear. We get people like GQ magazine and MR magazine, and they start rating different underwears. And
I think I even saw them in the National Geographic's
they did
#1 travel underwear.
Yeah,
I think they did like a top 10 or something.
Yeah.
It's been a few years ago, but
yeah.
And I can attest to that. Like, and I think I've told this story before, obviously not on air, but like I know I've told it to customers. So there was a point in time where I was traveling for work or whatever. So I mean, I did exactly kind of what you're talking about, where you take 2 pairs essentially,
Right.
and that way I could just travel with a backpack and not have to take a lot of clothing with me.
Right.
And then you get to the hotel, you just wash a pair, let it hang, and then go do your day. You come home the next day, you got a clean pair of underwear, and you just kind of repeat that cycle over and over and over and over.
Right.
I've had customers, actually, good friends of mine, that end up taking me up on this idea, and they go on motorcycle trips for 20, 30 days, and that's what they do.
Yeah,
and they're like, it works really well.
It's phenomenal.
It's less baggage.
It's we call the fabric is described as hydrodynamic, so water dynamic, meaning it gets rid of the water faster than anything we have in our line. It's so good at it is we do a lighter version of that. We make swim trunks and we put like a lightweight version of that in. We used to put that in the swim trunk, but then we lightened it up to dry it even faster.
Yeah, even faster now.
Even faster.
Which is kind of surprising because, as I said, I mean, it really does dry off. I mean, super
it's
quick.
crazy.
Like, anybody that hasn't tried them, and I always say this, like, we talk about like, oh, hey, what fabric, and a lot of times if I gift someone a pair, and which I do frequently, that'll be the pair I usually give to people. Like, I'm here, try this pair of underwear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not saying that I don't like the Vibe and the Ultra. It's just not my material. It's not what I prefer. And so I think I always recommend what I prefer.
Yeah. That's natural.
It's just kind of habit, right? We're just going to do that. And so I guess, obviously the fabrics make it different. The pouch makes it different. And we've kind of touched on it a little bit. And I think I just want to hammer it home for our listeners, because this gets asked a lot, like what's the difference between all these? And so I'm just going to say, so here at Peoria location or the LaSalle location, I think I'm going to carry 4. I'm going to list them off. I carry 5 or 6 things. So I'm going to list them off, and then I'm going to have you just kind of give me like a, hey, this is best for this, and this is what that's for. So I'll kind of do them in order of probably the way they were released and also probably how they sell throughout the nation. But so let's talk Vibe and Ultra. Those two are in a family together.
Yeah, everyday viscose. The distinction is a fly or no fly.
Right. So a lot of the same prints will be in both of them. They kind of isolate some prints, I would say.
Yeah, we started doing, I mean, we've been separate on those. I mean, solids like black and indigos and things like that. But if it's a pattern, they pretty much say like Ultra has their own patterns and Vibe.
Okay.
But there are some shared. They're starting to do a little bit more of that. Not a lot. So there is a difference in that.
And on those and I guess on all of them going forward, we talked about the standard leg length of boxer brief is 5 inches. Are there different lengths? Like now I say that, folks, and I say this just for education purposes, because the reality of it is, we have some extra different lengths, but the majority of it, the 5 inch is the most popular selling one. But are there other options out there if that just really isn't your cup of tea?
Yeah, we do 2 other lengths. One's a trunk length, which is 2 inches. So that's kind of much shorter. Some guys don't want anything on their legs.
Sure.
So they want a shorter one. And then we do, our version of long leg is 7 inches. So it's a little bit longer. And I do 5 and 7 personally.
Yeah.
5 by far is, we do more of that.
It's the most common.
It's 90% of our line. The longer lengths that we do are more in the sport, like kinetic, which I think
we're going to get to in a second. So that is Vibe and Ultra. Same fabric, same fit, minus the fact of one has a fly, one doesn't have a fly.
Right.
Ultra has a fly, Vibe does not.
Correct.
There's a little bit of size fitting there. Links are all the same, though.
Right.
So I pair these next 2 together, and I know they aren't technically, and so this is gonna be a kind of a bridge gap. So Quest is adventure, and then I kind of pair this in there, and I know it's not 100%. Volt, which is also a mesh, but it's in the sports line. So
it's in the sports line. So
a little different mesh,
right? The mesh is a little different compound. It's still a synthetic. The reason that Volt is in the line, and Volt does not have a fly,
right? So
the reason Volt is in our line is that mesh is much flatter finish on the front.
Okay,
and in Volt is probably the most fun, as far as patterns we do. Because we can do photorealistic prints, like a photography photograph on the fabric of Volt, and that's why it's performance. But the fabric is so flat, you can really take a photograph. And we do, national parks.
I was going to say the national parks are really, really cool in that line. I know they've kind of snuck back into now the Vibe and the Ultra, which I didn't mention. We do have some of the national park lines in right now.
Right.
But Volt was really the Joshua Tree ones and stuff like that, where I mean, these things look like a photo. Like they look like someone printed a photo right on them, and
right.
They were
performance. It's great performance, but because of the fabric, we can have this liberty of taking photographs and putting them on this fabric, and just instead of a print.
Right, compared to like the Quest, which we're kind of comparing to the Quest, and the Quest has the fly opening, the Volt doesn't. As I said, that's why I put those two together, because they're both mesh. But because of those little whales or those little cups on the Quest, that's what inhibits the being able to print those photos on there, right?
Yeah, it becomes more pixelated
because
of the fabric. And like you said, that like I used like the analogy of a
Dimples.
golf ball. Yeah, so it becomes more pixelated. We still do prints, but they're more geometric. I think we had some fish and stuff, but if you see a fish on Volt, it looks like a bass.
Yeah.
Like a real picnic. We've had some with fish. We do a lot of fish and pineapples and lots of fun stuff. A fish on Volt looks like a fish, and a fish on Quest looks more pixelated.
Yeah, it's abstract.
A little
more abstract.
Yeah, you can tell it's a fish, but it's a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sticking in that sports fit, that sports line, because this is something else we carry, I think mainly at the LaSalle location, because we have a more robust following of SAXX followers, and we've been there for long. We've been there longer. But is the Kinetic or Kinetic HD? And I don't mean this in a bad way. I feel like sometimes I even get, as a store owner, there's some renaming and some reclassification of things. It gets a little confusing for all of us. So where are we at on the Kinetics? Give me kind of what they are.
Right. So we like to take a consumer through his whole day. And so if you're starting your day off and you're going to the gym, we think you don't wear like everyday underwear to work out in. And so that's what the birth of Kinetic. Kinetic actually, it's more compressive, semi-compressive, so that's a better active piece. Some guys like that fit on everything, and they'll wear Kinetic all day.
Yeah, I have some guys that do. They wear them.
Yeah, they like them all day because they're so, they just like that kind of fit.
Sure.
HD is the new fit of Kinetic, and basically in the front of the crotch area, we've added more support in the front. We've added an extra stitch in the front of Kinetic to make that more compressive across the whole thing instead of being loose in the front.
Yeah, I mean, and almost like a protective.
Yeah. It's just it's more compressive all over, and that's how the HD Quest, we used to do Quest, and then we did Quest 2.0. That was it was improved.
As I said, I love that they're constantly trying to innovate and do things and improve, etc. Sometimes it does get confusing because as I said, I've been with the company for quite a while now, and we went through some color changes, we went through some box changes, we've went through some name changes, and sometimes it's marketing things like, oh, this is a slim fit, or that's a this, in which it panics, as you said. Guys are they're hard to get off of something. Once they get onto something, that's all they want. They want exactly what it says, and I don't need to change. They say.
Well, why is this different? And then you have to go through a whole thing like it's the same. They just change the box.
The marketing department over here thought it would be a cooler idea if we did this. And sometimes it is cooler. And I'm not knocking on the marketing department guys out there that are marketers. I get it. We all have to do that, and we keep evolving. But it definitely alarms consumers. And us owners as well, because we're like, what the hell's going on now?
Right. Well, I mean, everything we do is not perfect. That's for sure.
No, I mean,
and we have we used to say when you started buying the line, GQ magazine did an independent review of our collection, and the guy said, this is life-changing underwear.
Right.
And we had that on our box, and it was on our fixtures. And
it used to be a go-to phrase.
It was a go-to phrase. And then somebody in our company said, we've talked to our attorneys, and does SAXX really change your life? And they were afraid of being sued or whatever, and they took it off. Sure. But now it's back again.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, somebody else grabbed onto it. A competitor using it. I'm like, so they can use it and we can't. So we're not perfect. We also, we put descriptions on things, as you mentioned, that I think are a little misleading and confusing to consumers. But to their credit, they are working on those. Like, life-changing is back.
Yeah, which is and here's the reality of it. I truly do, and like if people have like pressed me on it because I was like, oh, these are life-changing. They're like, oh, how do they change your life? But it really does. Like, I mean, if it makes you in a better mood, that improves your life.
That improves your life.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're more comfortable throughout your day, your life improves.
Your life improves.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it really isn't. We're not saying, hey, you're going to win the lottery because you're wearing something like that. We're not making some crazy. We're just saying your life's going to improve some incremental amount. So yes, obviously, and that's part of a growing pain. I mean, as I said, 2006. I mean, we're 2022 now. So I mean, obviously, they've been around for what 17 years ish.
17 years. Yeah. It's a long time. And that was when we started. When he was selling it out of his van, they really didn't get They didn't get financing from the four investors. Are still part of the company, the original four,
which is impressive.
But they're also a worldwide company now. We sell in Spain, Japan, UK. We're all over the world now.
Yeah, I mean, and relatively, like, in the world we live in of clothing and business like this, very young. Like,
very young, yeah.
17 years seems, it could be like, oh, that's a long time for you or I. And as I said, you've carried the line for what, 10, 12 years? 12 years?
12 years, yeah.
So, and that's, but if you look at it, like, compared to the Calvin Kleins and all these other, those things have been around for a lot longer than that.
Right.
And so they are very young. You're going to have missteps. You're going to try, but they're an innovative company. They're trying to keep improving, which is great. That's awesome. Which brings me honestly to my next thing, because they, every season, every year, everything, you touched on it a little bit earlier. So obviously they started with the Vibe. I mean, that was the origin, the Vibe. Now they've got, and I listed off 4 or 5, and I guess the one I didn't listen off is 22nd Century Silk,
right?
Which I carry that as well.
New premium product from us.
Yeah, so that's it's going to be like the same format of like an ultra fit, right?
It is. It's really just, when we're involved in like launching a new product like the 22nd Century Silk as a premium, there are very few. It's a small package, but I always look at that and I think when I show you, it's like, okay, you're in a wedding, and you want to have something unique as a wedding gift, and guys don't give out flasks and cigars maybe so much, and now they can give out underwear, and that would be the perfect premium gift to wear with tuxedos, or you're in a destination to wear a product that is just like something you've never had. You're really going to spoil yourself.
It's definitely a luxury feeling item.
Yeah.
I have a pair. They are fantastic feeling on.
Yeah.
I tend to still be a Quest guy at the end of the day, but they're nice for an occasional change.
Right. And we also did that fabric in like loungewear. So we do like, lounge pants and shorts and some tops. And so
which is what I was, and that's kind of where I was going before I thought of the 22nd Century Silk was SAXX has grown from just an underwear company. I know it says SAXX Underwear Company. Like that's their thing, but they really aren't just an underwear company. Like, let's just go off the categories. They're like, can you I know it's a long list.
Yeah,
Can you go off the top of your head?
Sure.
Some items here?
I mean, now we're just called SAXX.
Okay, we've got rid of underwear
we've because of that reason.
It's so big.
It's so big. I mean, in the last 2-3 years, we've kind of
let it fall off.
It just says SAXX now because now
sense.
we are, getting into everything. So we obviously make underwear, but from underwear we made T-shirts.
Yep.
And from T-shirts, we started making like active tees and then active shorts. We did because we make a kinetic short.
Yeah, like a 2-in-1.
A 2-in-1. That came about. Segue here. That came about from people wearing. We saw a few running stores and they were buying like Nike or shorts, and the liners in those were so terrible. These customers we'd go in, the rep would be there, and the people would cut out the liner, and they were wearing SAXX underwear under the running shirt. So we just did that for them.
Just did the step for them.
And so we put kinetic in that. And now when people, companies rate different Lululemons and Nike, we win every time because we build it from the inside out. They build it from the outside in, and then at the end of the day, they save money if they put like a crappy liner because it doesn't matter.
Because nobody can see that.
No one sees that, and then they do that. So we're built from the liner over. So activewear, from there we did loungewear, sleep and loungewear, then swimwear.
Yeah, which swimwear
is incredible.
Rocket ship right now.
Just crazy.
Every guy that's tried swimwear with me is just like, these are the best swim trunks I've ever worn. I mean, there's a few different fit between the board shorts or the boys, and there's a few different fits, but everybody that gets into them, the as you said, how quickly they dry and stuff like that is just.
But it has the ballpark pouch underwear built into it, and that is the difference in everyone. People have liners in their swim trunks, but that piece changes the game.
So comfortable.
Changes the game for the swimwear.
Right.
And the prints are a lot of fun, and they're very soft, and they stretch and all that stuff. But when you're wearing that, and guys are wearing now swimwear all day on their vacation.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Not just to get in the water and out of the water, and they put shorts on. They put their wallets and they put their cell phones, and they go and they put a T-shirt on, and they go to the beach bar, and then they go back in the water.
I have to segue here. I have to pause because this is a great shout out to a really good friend of mine. Everybody that listens back home, my friend Riley, he owns the supper club down the street. It's called the Study Supper Club. If you haven't been there to eat, go eat there. But he, this year, and unfortunately he had kind of had a back issue, so he didn't get to play much golf with me. But he has this theory, and I'm not saying he's wrong. He thinks that SAXX swim trunks are the ultimate golf outing attire.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because,
good for him.
Yeah, right. I mean, this guy. So he's like, I think I want to wear swim trunks to the golf outing. Because we play a lot of golf outings and stuff together, but he really wanted to do it because he's like, it's usually in the summer, you're hot, you're sweaty, you're moving around. He goes, but everything is perfect. You just stay in perfect shape. And he goes, and if, you get a water, balls in the water, you just go in there, you spill something, you just dump some water. They dry so quickly. And we on the golf course had quite a laugh this year, but you kind of said it because the beach resort and the resort wear, swim trunks have become that. Like, aside from like when you go to the dinner at those resorts when you have to put a pair of slacks on, the reality is you're just wearing your swim trunks around all day
long. And if they're drying fast and you're comfortable, but then you've got,
and you look good too.
They're fun and they look good and they look like shorts, and you can, that's great. We don't make, we make shorts too. That's the next one, but I think that's great, and I'll share that. And then we have a sales meeting, a pre-meeting on this Wednesday. I'll probably bring it. I'll bring it up and say, hey, by the way, guys, I don't know if you know it, but we make golf shorts too.
Yeah, you make golf shorts now.
Yeah. So, but swimwear, and then we do also make 2-in-1 shorts, like a regular short that some guys are using as a hybrid swim trunk because it's just solid, and it's the same type of liner. We just recently introduced a pocket polo for last spring in a new drop temp fabric that's amazing, and it's our it's the second year of doing socks.
Yeah.
We started SAXX, which is a natural progression to, I guess, an underwear company.
Right?
Yeah, that does socks, and then we do outside of loungewear. We also do like sweat shorts and hoodies and sweatshirts, and coming for fall 23. We're doing like a true, like kind of like almost like a track pant. Like, you don't know this, so this is new. This is new for me too. This is new for you. Like a Lululemon full pant, type of thing, but with our ballpark pouch technology built in. And then like I can see, I just saw the first like a teaser video of our thing. Looks like we're doing like more. guys are we went through a pandemic and guys were living in their house and they could live in loungewear.
Yeah.
But now they're out of the house, and some of that loungewear a little clingy, on your body, So that's going to stay in the house. But if you want to be comfortable and that kind of active pant, hybrid pant kind of thing with waterproof zippers, it looks like they have those things. That's going to be in the fall 23 line.
Yeah, that's been a huge category you've seen in the menswear where, as I said, you got used to wearing comfy stuff, and then you're kind of like, oh man, I really can't wear my pajama pants out, but I would,
you want something a little, I call them like, not necessarily you could work out in these pants, you could run in them, you could do all those, you can hike in them, but you can also go to Starbucks in them. You can go, you can travel, you could go on an airplane with these.
Yeah, kind of like the travel pant, I'm excited about it, and to kind of see how those go, because obviously, I'm a huge fan of SAXX. We've talked about it on, off air, both, but the thing is like I just feel like they continually keep trying new things,
right?
And they take a lot of the fabrics and a lot of the things that make this product really cool, and they bring it over to this category where maybe it hadn't been there before,
right?
Which is great. I think that's a great thing, to have a company do something like that. So, yeah, that's exciting. They got something new coming down the pipeline there. Which they feel like they always do.
Yeah, and fall's a great time to launch, any new products.
Yeah,
I got to tell your listeners to this too, that the selection that you have, at the LaSalle, but at both locations, but you probably have the biggest selection of SAXX of anybody within 100-mile radius, really.
That's a pretty big mile radius. That's surprising to me even. I know we carry a large part of the line.
Right.
But as I said, a lot of it just works so well for me and my consumers. So it's easy for us to carry. It's easy to give space to because it works.
It works, yeah. And, what I'm seeing now is people used to go shop at a store and then see if they could, find something on a website. But now I see people going to websites to go to the store to see the merchandise.
Yeah, and I think I get a little bit of both of it. I will say for the most part, there's certain brands, and SAXX is actually a pretty good brand about this. They price protect us owners pretty well.
Yeah, we have no one can well, we actually have something every dealer has to sign that they cannot discount our product.
Right. And the only time it gets discounted is like if it's a closeout or something like that, like we're getting rid of this and we're done with it. And that's perfectly fine, but sometimes it's frustrating as a business owner, where you go, oh, hey, like here is a product, and then they go, oh, well, I can get it online for $10 less or $20 less or whatever the number is. It puts us at a disadvantage, which isn't fair. And SAXX usually doesn't do that to us. So that's a great thing because it makes you want to keep a relationship,
Right.
You don't have a company stabbing you in the back, so to speak.
No. And we literally stopped everyone from selling SAXX on Amazon.
Yeah, which is great.
You can't do that. If you go to Amazon, it just sends you to a SAXX site which maintains the integrity of the pricing throughout the whole country.
Which is, as I said, from an owner's point of view and from a product point of view, it really is worth that number that's attached to it. That's obviously if there's ever, and let's just get it on there, right? If there's ever anything that someone says, oh gosh, SAXX, it would be price. But the reality of it is once you get into designer underwear, I don't know if that's what we're calling it these days,
right?
But better underwear than just your 3-packs or your 10-packs or whatever like that you're buying at the discount stores. The price point isn't any different than anybody else. It's just different than what you're used to paying because you're used to paying whatever it was for discount underwear. But there's a difference between them.
There's a difference between them. We're in the same wheelhouse as everybody in the premium underwear brand. Yeah. We also have a money-back guarantee.
Yeah.
So if somebody buys our underwear and thinks it's not worth it or just doesn't like it, or we give them money back, 100% of their money back.
Yeah.
And we don't do that very often.
No,
I literally haven't done it this year. For someone calling me that says there's a problem. Obviously, if there's a manufacturer issue, something sneaked through, that's different. But we're just saying that if you don't like it,
right,
then you don't have to pay for it.
And I'll say that's something that we've, obviously we extend that offer as a, part of SAXX. For, I said, we're 5.5 years. We're going on our 6th holiday season, next few months here. I've done it, but it's been like once or twice throughout.
I think one was like ripped or something.
Yeah, there was like a hole. It was a manufacturing fabric flaw.
thing. But yeah, out of that, so
that happens out of
that happens.
Millions of pairs produced. Things can go wrong. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, but that was replaced, and so that one almost doesn't count because it's not. It wasn't that they weren't happy with it. They had a hole in it.
Right, it had a hole.
It got snug through some kind of quality control or something. But knowing that, there's nothing to lose.
Yeah, it makes it a little easier to do it. So that's definitely a nice benefit of it.
Yeah, a big benefit. But it shows how much we believe in the product, and that you will love it. And if you need to, listen, you're in a store where maybe someone doesn't ever spend that much on a pair of dress pants or a suit or a sport coat or whatever it is. But I know in my personal, I didn't always spend as much on clothes as I do now, but when I started spending a little bit more on the clothes I buy, they last longer.
Yeah.
They fit. They probably fit a little different. And it's not even the fit. It's really how long they last, over washing and stuff. And I have underwear in my drawer. I have a lot of underwear, as you can imagine.
Obviously.
I have it on my drawer that's years old.
Yeah.
It does have a long life to it.
I do too. And as I said, from a consumer point of view, that is great.
It's not great for an owner.
From a business point of view, I'm like, can we wear these things out?
Yeah. But that's just if they're worried about $35 for a pair of
they last
underwear, the
get
lifespan,
years worth of wear out of them.
Years
you truly do. I make that joke all the time. I'm like, I wish they wore out faster, which I really don't, obviously. I joke with people. I'm like, hey, you've had that long enough. Get some new ones. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's part of the reason we do all the new patterns too. The patterns are fun, and we have a arrangement with the National Parks, which we mentioned,
which is
also
a really cool series,
which is cool, and we donate $1 back to every pair that's purchased by you guys to help our national parks. We also have a collaboration with Budweiser, which is fun. So we always have a lot of beer and food and all this
normal fun
stuff. But for Valentine's Day, for Father's Day, that's a great gift giving item.
Yep.
We're coming up on Halloween's a big, believe it or not, it's like. And we sell Halloween underwear. We sell.
No, it's funny.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's a fun gift. It's a fun. I didn't realize Halloween gifts were a thing.
Right. Oh, right.
This is something new to my world. I didn't realize this, but someone was in the store the other day in LaSalle. It was a mom and then a grandma, and they were shopping for a Halloween gift for the grandson.
For the grandson,
like,
sure.
What?
Yeah.
I was like, I love it. I'm here for it.
We need more of those holidays, right?
Can we get more of those?
We need more.
More of those.
Yeah, but obviously Thanksgiving's coming up after that. But then after, obviously, Christmas. But between like from Valentine's Day all the way through Christmas, the gift giving time. It's a box. It fits in a stocking for Christmas. It's if you don't know what to get somebody,
it's great gift.
It's an easy gift really to give somebody.
So it truly is. Obviously, we've had great success with it. I obviously love SAXX. Thank you again for getting me into them, and it's been a great product, a good situation for us.
No, it's all been you. You guys have done a great. It's we get you the product, but you guys have been behind it, and you're just talking about it. And when people come into your store, they see a fixture. You are educated about the product, and you believe in it because you've experienced it.
Yeah. Once you wear it, you believe in it. It's pretty easy to believe in it. I pretty much, that's kind of where I wanted to go today with all that, and something I wanted to do, because of kind of a thanks leading here for the rest of the month. I know this is going to air, so maybe we'll do it for a couple of weeks, and we'll put the notes in the description. But I think I'm going to go ahead and offer anybody that wants to come into either of the locations, mention they heard this on air. I just got to think of some clever word to say. I don't know. I might just do the simple like 50% off a pair of SAXX or something. So I guess that's more for you guys, not so much Rob. He doesn't care what I sell them for right in a second. But I'm going to do a promotion through That Guy's Secret, guys. Obviously, when Aaron posts this on there, it'll be on there. But come into either of our locations. Just mention you heard us on the podcast or the YouTube channel, and we'll give you 50% off a pair of SAXX. So that's the least we can do. And you never know. Maybe you'll be a lucky customer. We just give a free pair too. So
right. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we have a newsletter we put out called the Bulletin.
Okay.
So the Bulletin. So you can
Nice.
send out a bulletin for 50% out. Off.
I love it. The Bulletin. That's great. I will say that the marketing is always so fun with SAXX. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah. It's been fun from the beginning.
They don't take themselves too seriously.
Right. Where you sell underwear.
They understand what they're selling.
Yeah.
And they go, hey, here's the reality of it. We got to break the tension somehow.
Right.
Because until you've sat down and had that conversation with that 60 or 70-year-old lady about, what this guy's preference is on underwear.
Yeah.
You haven't had an interesting conversation.
No, it's, being uncomfortable is part of being, our thing. It's like, you got to have a conversation, first of all, if you have a fly or a no fly.
Yeah.
And I just was in a store and a couple came in. They've been married for 40 years. I asked her husband, do you use a fly or a no fly? He goes, I don't care about it. And she said, what are you talking about? And she does the laundry, and she had no clue.
Idea. Right.
She had no clue, what that was.
And that's a common thing. I mean,
Yeah.
they just, they don't. And that is always a safe way. If you don't know, just get the one with the fly, and then they can choose. If they want to use the fly, they can use the fly. If they don't have to. It's not like you're required to use it because it's there. Nobody's going to force you to do it.
Underwear. I don't use a fly. I always tell people a fly is like, for me, it's like a spare tire. If I never use the spare tire in my car, that's fine.
But it was there. Cool.
It's there. If I need it, it's a number. It's there. Yeah. I mean, you talked about ads. Our very first ad in Vancouver was a billboard that said, SAXX Underwear. Your balls and your thighs need time apart. So talk about uncomfortable, like a big bulletin,
Oh, that's great.
out there. So, we had a pair of underwear. You may have carried it. It was Morse code that was that exact phrase. It looked like a stripe because it's dots and
I
dashes.
did carry it. It was such a fun one. That's and I'm glad you referenced that, because one other thing is if you guys do get into chasing prints, chasing design styles like that, SAXX is usually pretty notorious for putting in like little Easter eggs, like the Morse code thing. And there's been some where there was a Cupid pair that had like a pretty funny design and picture on there.
Yeah. We did one, like a Halloween one, where it was like some ghosts, but only one of the ghosts glue in the dark, and it was different on every pair because the fabric had different things.
Right, just the way it laid out. I mean,
it didn't say that on the box.
But then you're like, wait a minute, why is this?
You're
one
walking
glowing?
around at night, and you're like, what's going on? Did you spill something, or something? We had one with Yeti and like a Bigfoot.
Yep.
And one of the scenes on there, the Bigfoot, I think, killed the Yeti or something.
Yeah, I had that.
Cut his head off, and nobody said anything. Nobody said anything about it, but I'm sure people caught it.
Oh yeah.
At one point, they're like, "What's going on here? A murder scene? What's happening?" But we're doing stuff like that because we don't take ourselves seriously, but we do take ourselves very serious about the fit, the fabric, the technology. So it's a good mix of
right. Let's take that stuff seriously, and let's not worry about the other stuff, right? So, but no, awesome. Well, we've kind of made it to about that point where we usually wrap it up, guys. So again, thank you, Rob, for coming in today. Appreciate it so much. It's, as I said, it's always good for me to hear more about SAXX, but then obviously our listeners are always curious. So, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Obviously, follow us on Instagram.